Hello, Fredrik Skåpe. Nice to meet you.
Hello, Magnus. Nice to meet you.
So you work for a very exciting company called CEVT. Could you please tell us what is CEVT and what are you doing at CEVT?
Yes, CEVT is an R&D company within the Geely organization. The Geely organization is quite big, but one of their, let's say, main focus areas is on automotive, you could say. So they are main stakeholders or part owners of a lot of brands. I think you would know about. Volvo is one of them, Lotus Cars is another, but they have also developed their own brands and have so they have a mix of, let's say, external engagement as well as internal. Lynk & Co is one brand, and another brand that we will work more closely with now here from CEVT moving forward is a brand called Seeker. It's a fully electric vehicles which they initially launched in China and will now be also moved and launched in Europe. And my role is that I work with innovation here at CEVT. So I'm a program leader for one of our 3 strategic innovation programs. They are focusing on services, what we call capsule, or the top part of the vehicles, and the carrier. And I'm program leader for the service program, so exploring and developing hopefully good and interesting innovation for future mobility solution. And I'm also responsible for our innovation framework. So the way we work across all programs with innovation here at CEVT is also under my responsibility, you could say.
So you're not just a fantastic client, you're actually also accredited. And I know that you have conducted several innovation assessment and also used the results. Could you please tell us, why should anyone do an innovation management assessment? What is the point doing that?
Yeah, it's very true, as you say. I think we started doing our initial assessment, and please correct me, Magnus, I think you have the answer if I remember wrongly, but I think it was in 2018. So we've done it now for 3-4 years. And one of the reasons we started to do it here at CEVT was that we wanted to have some kind of, let's say, external, maybe you could say, validation, and are we doing the right things here at CEVT? So, when we work with innovation, how do other, the really great companies globally exploring the potential around, new opportunities, innovation, R&D, how do they work? So I think that was one of the reasons for us to actually look outside of our own, let's say, premises and see how others are doing and benchmark against them to learn basically and see what we could improve here at CEVT. I think that was maybe the main reason why we started to do the assessments. There are a lot of benefits I would see with that. And of course, now we're starting to gather some kind of historic data, so we can also go back, of course, and measure and see our own development here at CEVT, in addition to doing external benchmarks also.
So a lot of clients, they start with, I want to benchmark, I want to gain some insights, and I know you have been doing this very systematically, and also it's generated quite many opportunities, and a few you went ahead with. So could you tell us a little bit about what did you really do based on the insight you gained, except from just having a nice benchmark?
Yeah, I think, as you say, I think maybe this is quite common for many companies. They focus on the innovation index maybe, and so did we. We have used it in the past as one of our key criteria at innovation to follow the index. We're not doing that as of now, but we're definitely looking into the improvement possibilities. So so I think that one benefit we see here at CEVT is just to get that initial kind of understanding, where are we on some kind of maturity level when it comes to innovation, and you can use the index for that. But then we also analyze, try to dig a bit deeper and do, look into the different areas, the wheel of innovation and the 16 perspective that the assessment gives you the capability to dig a bit deeper. And when doing that, and also benchmarking against other really great innovation companies, we have identified, I would say, over time, concrete improvement areas which we have utilized to continuously improve and build on our innovation framework and see where should we emphasize our efforts and where do we need to work to improve our capabilities, you could say. And the assessment has been a really good tool for doing that in a more systematic and structured approach, I would say.
So what did you learn from doing assessment frequently times and getting accepted internally? So what did you learn about, if we talk about the transformation trajectory, what did you learn from using this as a strategic tool and how to make a change happen internally?
Yeah, one thing I think we learned was that when we divided, let's say, the respondents in different, depending on their which team or department they belong to, you can see in the assessment that overall you can get a score or a view of let's say the organization's capabilities or maturity on a high level. But what we learned also is when you divide the respondents in smaller groups, you can also see that sometimes there are quite big changes between different teams. And I would say that this is, of course, it's a two-sided sword, I guess. I mean, you can, with the assessment, very clearly see the differences. And then, of course, you can utilize that to trigger specific activities in the different departments. Then, of course, the department needs to be, open for driving the change and all of that. But I think that has been a very good thing, I think, just to have a more clear and also a more detailed, let's say, understanding about, the differences in the maturity and capabilities in the different areas of the departments. That can also help you to, which I said before, kind of focus your improvement activities, hopefully to the right areas where they have the most impact, you could say.
So what advice would you like to give to someone that's thinking about doing an innovation management assessment for the first time? What advice would you like to give to them?
Well, one advice I think I would like to give to them is when you do this, don't just, start with the assessment and do it, try to, do some kind of initial, let's say, mapping internally, because I think the assessment becomes better, the clearer, let's say, the framework that you have around it. Meaning, if you have a clearly defined vision for your company, what's our ambition and what's our intention, and then with that in place or with that discussed, then you do the assessment. I think that will give you a much better understanding from the assessment later on, because the assessment to me is a very good tool to kind of bridge the gap or reduce the gap between your intention in the company and your capabilities to deliver. So if you just do the assessment without having a good understanding or discussion around your intention, then of course you'll have a lot of data, but it can be maybe a bit difficult to understand what to prioritize and why. But if you have a good understanding, this is where we are heading, this is our ambition, then I say that the assessment will give you more value. So I think that's one learning that I think we've seen here at CEVT.
So Fredrik, could you give us a few insights on things that were really rendered from doing the assessment?
Yes, definitely. I think one thing we identified with the assessment was the potential around creating let's say, a bigger platform for innovation here at CEVT. So we have now, since a couple of years, something we call innovation officers. We have people out in the different departments that part of the time they should also spend on innovation to collect input from their respective departments. Could be ideas of areas they would like to explore, maybe to drive ideation, but also for us that works more in the central part of the organization, focusing on innovation, to also push our information out into the organization and have the innovation officers as a bridge to that. So I think that's one example of potential, possibilities that we identified and got validated, I think, in the assessment. Another area is that we have, since a couple of years, also been working more systematically with collaboration with everything from the academia to the startup communities. And we here at CEVT has quite good, I would say, collaboration with the startup community, both in Sweden as well as Finland and also Israel. All three countries being, year after year ranked as, top nationalities when it comes to innovation capabilities. And I would say that that's also something we got validated in the assessment, that this is a good thing for us to do. So you could say that we have derived those kind of learnings from the assessment, and then we have moved on to actually activate and act on those learnings. So those are two examples, I think, what we have done here at CEVT, where the assessment has helped us.
Thank you so much, Fredrik. It was great to have you, and both as a client and as a licensed practitioner. And thanks for sharing so open-hearted to everybody. Thank you so much, Fredrik.
Thank you, Magnus.